What is going on, everybody? My name is All In Football, and today we'll be previewing the NFC East division for the 2016 season. I've already previewed all 4 AFC divisions, so I'll put those in the description box below. Make sure you check those out when you have a chance. And also, I'll be doing the the rest of the NFC division previews next 3 days, so check those out as well. But let's get into the NFC East. NFC East, very intriguing division this year. I'm looking forward to it a lot. I think anybody could end up winning this division. I don't think I would be surprised by anybody. But looking at the first team I have on here is the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, a very disappointing season last year, 4-12 after they had just gone 12-4 the previous year. And that was due in large part to Tony Romo going down with an injury, only playing a few games last year. Very disappointing for Dallas Cowboys fans to see that their quarterback is deteriorating under their own eyes. But Tony Romo, I doubt this dude's going to even play half the season last year. I just finished watching the preseason game between the Cowboys and the Seahawks. This dude, 3 plays in, is already on the ground crying and rolling around like he just got shot. I mean, I like Tony Romo. He's got a good personality and everything, but this dude's not staying healthy. I can guarantee you he does not play 16 games this year. And Cowboys fans are all already on the bandwagon. You know, Dak Prescott is going to save the day. Dak Prescott has played 2 preseason games, actually 3 preseason games now. And he has looked good in those 3. I will give him credit for that. But you can't just say because a guy looks good in the preseason playing against the scrubs on the Los Angeles Rams and whoever they played tonight, the Seahawks, the second and third string guys on those teams. You can't just say that they're gonna all of a sudden be stars in this league like Dak Prescott. I mean, maybe a few years down the road, but this dude was a mid-round pick in the NFL draft for a reason. You can't just say that this dude's gonna be the savior for this Cowboys franchise once Romo goes down. But they did add Ezekiel Elliott in the draft this year. I was very happy to see that, even though I'm not a Cowboys fan. Ezekiel Elliott, definitely the best running back in this draft. He looked very good tonight, 7 carries, 48 yards in the dress rehearsal game. So I think he is bound for a great season. He's going to be a bell cow. Great guy to draft in your fantasy draft, first-round pick for sure. Alfred Morris, Darren McFadden are also backing him up. 2 guys who have had running back 1 experience in the past and can definitely step in if something would happen to Elliott. Alfred Morris, he's been a reliable guy on the Redskins over the past few seasons. I would be very happy to have him as even the number 3 guy is what he's looking like right now. Darren McFadden was their RB1 last year and picked up 1,000 yards. Very, very intriguing running back position. Definitely the best in the NFC East, but I'll get into that in a second. But their wide receiver position is definitely the biggest problem in this offense. And they've got Dez Bryant, so that's pretty impressive. You got Dez Bryant on your wide receiver core, and it's the worst position on your offense. But outside Dez Bryant is what I'm talking about, obviously. You got Terrence Williams, Cole Beasley, Jason Witten. Those guys kind of make me want to puke right now. I mean, Jason Witten, he's a good player, obviously, but he's getting up there for sure, and he'll be there for the consistent catch every now and then, but you can't expect anything at all from that guy anymore. They could definitely use some help at that wide receiver position. I was thinking they might have gone that position in the draft this year, but there was definitely nobody there at the number 4 spot for that value pick as a number 2 wide receiver on their team, so I guess I agree with him there. Elliott was probably a smart pick at the end of the day. But looking at before I get into their defense, obviously I just got to give praise where it's due to the offensive line. Travis Frederick, Tyron Smith, Zach Martin are arguably top 5 offensive linemen in this league, which is pretty crazy. And the scary part is they're only 25 years old. That's just absurd to me. These guys are so good at their position right now, and they're still so young. Many offensive linemen don't reach their prime until their late 20s, so it's pretty scary to think that how long these guys could be around for. I believe Travis Frederick just got paid, so he will be around for a little bit while longer as well. Tyron Smith, great left tackle, arguably the best in the league, but nothing really else needs to be said about that offensive line. Will be very good for Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Romo this season, no doubt about it. But looking at their defense, obviously the more horrendous part of this team. You got DeMarcus Lawrence suspended, London McClain suspended, Randy Gregory suspended. It is looking very ugly for the Cowboys front seven right now for those first 4 games or so. DeMarcus Lawrence is a pretty good player. They're definitely going to miss him the most out of the 3 guys I just mentioned. London McClain, Randy Gregory. Those 2 guys aren't the best, but they're definitely better than whoever they're going to replace him with for sure. But Malik Collins, a guy they took in the 3rd round this year in the NFL draft, I think he's an intriguing person to watch this season. I really liked him coming out of Nebraska, so you might have gotten a steal from him in the NFL draft. And looking at the rest of their defense, you got 2 stars, in my opinion, that have had problems with their health over the past few seasons and really need to stay healthy in order for this defense to be successful. Their names are Sean Lee and Orlando Scandrick. Sean Lee, obviously great tackler, the heart of this defense really, but he's faced a lot of health issues over the past few seasons, including a torn ACL, so hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy. And Orlando Scandrick, obviously he hasn't had a long sheet of injuries in the past, but he just came off a torn ACL, so got to be concerned about that, whether or not he'll be 100% the entire season. But the biggest problem of this defense, and I'm getting pretty queasy just looking at it, is Morris Claiborne and Brandon Carr. Morris Claiborne, if this dude was a late 1st-round pick or a 2nd-round pick or some guy they just got from whenever, he'd be off this team by already. He's pretty trashed, put it lightly, and just the fact that he's a top 10 pick is the only reason this guy's still around. He's not going to develop anything. The Cowboys are going to cut this guy loose. He's a joke. Brandon Carr, also a very atrocious cornerback. You do not want this guy on your team, even as a number 2 guy. I'll tell you right now. So hopefully Orlando Scandrick can help these guys out this season because it was pretty ugly last year. But I have the Cowboys going 9-7. Felt kind of awkward putting these guys at 9-7, considering they went 12-4 in 2014 and 4-12 last season. But 9-7 seemed about right looking at their schedule. I don't think they'll turn any heads with double-digit wins. But 9-7 with seeming like it's going to be a top 5 offense, you could say, if Romo can stay healthy, which he won't. And this defense, if it can turn into form a little bit, who knows? Maybe it won't be as bad as last year. But looking at the next team on the list, the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously fired Chip Kelly. That happened a while ago at this point. But looking at their draft, they took Carson Wentz, obviously a very big splash. I'm still left scratching my head after what they did for draft night, trading all those picks to the Browns. It was the Browns for Carson Wentz to take him number 2 overall. After they just paid Sam Bradford and paid Chase Daniel. I mean, very questionable job for the GM position, but looking at the rest of their offense, Sam Bradford, I think this guy is a little bit underrated. I mean, I don't think he's a great quarterback, obviously, but I think people give him a little bit too much flack for what is not exactly his fault. He had a 65% completion percentage last season, so that's not too bad. I mean, that's top 12 in the league. But I think they're a bigger fish to fry in this offense than Sam Bradford. I mean, you look at this wide receiver position, you got Jordan Matthews. He's just a slot guy. He is a good slot guy, but he's a slot guy at the end of the day that you can't exactly rely on. He's going into his 3rd or 4th year right now. But outside of him, you got Nelson Aguilar. Apparently, people are saying he was fighting off an injury last season. I'm not completely sold on that. They just signed Dorial Green-Beckham from the Titans. They just traded for him for practically nothing. So at least he'll provide some depth for him. And Zach Ertz at the tight end position, he'll have a very good season. I'm very confident in that. He finished last year with a bang. So who knows? This guy's still very young. I think he's 26 or something like that. So out of the guys, Zach Ertz, Nelson Aguilar, and DGB, I'm sure one of them will have a decent season. My bet is Zach Ertz, but Aguilar, DGB, they're definitely going to need one of those guys to step up on the outside wide receiver position, or else this team is in trouble. But Jordan Matthews should continue to do what he's doing. He just needs to cure his problem with the dropsies, because that was very apparent last season, and it was very ugly to watch at the same time. But looking at this defense, I'm very excited about this defense, let me tell you. It's not exactly the caliber of the dream team defenses you're putting together a few seasons ago, but they hired Jim Schwartz, a very good defensive mind, even though he's kind of a joke as a head coach. A very good defensive coordinator, and he's got some talent to work with. I mean, you look at some of the stars on this defense: Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and Benny Logan, also a very good guy, and you got Malcolm Jenkins out in the safety position. 4 guys that I think can have very good seasons this year. None of them are really elite status guys, unless you ask Fletcher Cox's bank account, then he's definitely an elite guy. But Malcolm Jenkins, Brandon Graham, Benny Logan, all going to have very good seasons. I'm confident in that. And they just signed Stephen Tulloch, who played under Jim Schwartz a little while ago, and that linebacker position was a position that they definitely need to address. So I'm very happy that they just signed Stephen Tulloch. I think he'll be a very good addition to this defense at 31 years old. And then you look at Nolan Carroll and Leotis McKelvin, Eric Rowe as well in that cornerback position. Eric Rowe, he's just a slot corner at this point in his career, so he should continue to do what he's doing. I mean, he had a pretty good season last year. I think Eagles fans are very satisfied with him at the moment. But Nolan Carroll, he's not an ideal number 1 cornerback, but hey, he's okay. I mean, you don't really want to see him as your number 1 corner when you're playing in a division with Odell Beckham and Dez Bryant necessarily, but he should do for now. And Leotis McKelvin's a fairly decent number 2 corner, so that makes up for it a little bit. But the biggest concern I saw for the Eagles this season, and it's actually going to next season a little bit, is their draft for the next season. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people are saying that they are going to have a top 10 pick going in the draft next season, and they really need a dynamic playmaker on offense. I'm talking wide receiver. If Aguilar or DGB doesn't work out this season, they really need a guy to step up in the draft. There's some very good talent next season. If they can get one of these running backs that is coming out of college football this season, they are set, I'll tell you. Because Ryan Matthews is going to do, maybe that's what they're waiting for. Maybe they haven't addressed the running back position because they know they can get one of these elite guys in the first round coming out of college next year. Like, they probably won't get Leonard Fournette unless they really do bad this season. Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, and Nick Chubb. Any of those guys, very good running backs, still have very good NFL careers. But I actually think that this defense, keep it on down low, but I think this defense is the best in the NFC East. I mean, especially with Jim Schwartz, if he can get these guys working, I think this defense will definitely be the best in the NFC East. And maybe that's not too bold of a statement considering the other defenses in this NFC East aren't exactly the best. But I think Eagles fans have should be optimistic about this team going into the next season. I actually have the Eagles going 9-7, and I have them winning the division. Yes, that is right. Pretty much everybody has ridden them off saying they're coming in the last place, but I think this NFC East division is where the unexpected happens, and the Eagles are going to face the Cowboys last game, Week 17. I think they'll beat them to secure the division win. 9-7, though, definitely going to be the number 4 team. But yeah, this team has a lot of potential, I think. If Sam Bradford can stay healthy, that would be very important to this team. So we'll have to see about the Eagles. That's a prediction. I'll be sweating all season long, so hopefully that'll work out. But looking at the New York Giants, also a team that fired their head coach, or I believe Tom Coughlin actually resigns, but they brought in Ben McAdoo. Not exactly a big fan of that hire, but you know, it is what it is. He made some big splashes in free agency, though. Olivier Vernon, very big deal given to him. He is a very good player, though. He deserved it for sure, even though he played on that atrocious Dolphins defense. He also added Janoris Jenkins from the Rams. He should provide some good cornerback depth. He might actually be the number 1 guy for that cornerback position. So hopefully he doesn't get abused by Dez Bryant too much next season. But looking at the rest of their offense, anyways, it should be more of the same. I mean, you got Eli to Odell. As long as those 2 guys should stay healthy, this offense should continue to keep on pumping out numbers. But Eli Manning's probably only got a few more years left in his career, so you really need to act fast. But I've got bigger questions outside Eli and Odell. Running back position, their running back position's terrible once again. Rashad Jennings, not an ideal guy at all. Orleans Darkwa, a guy I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not he can break out this season. He played very well last year, never really got the opportunity though. They also got Shane Vereen as their passing downs guy, so who knows about him. Shane Vereen, I do know about him actually, I know what I'm saying. Shane Vereen will continue to do what he's doing. He's kind of just there as a passing downs guy, nothing special about him. But their wide receiver depth definitely improved. You got Victor Cruz coming back from injury. Hopefully he will stay healthy this time, because obviously everybody likes Victor Cruz. He's a very likable guy, but he's also a very good receiver at the same time. If he can come back and be a number 2 guy for this team next to Odell, I think this could be a very good passing attack. He also had Sterling Shepard out of the University of Oklahoma in the draft. I wasn't a big fan of his in the draft. I'm a big draft guy. But, Sterling Shepard is a number 3 guy. Should not disappoint anyways. But their O-line is the biggest problem on this offense, because you got Eric Flowers at the left tackle position. He has not panned out in his short career so far. They may need to invest in a left tackle in this next draft. I would advise them to do that anyways. But looking at their defense, obviously I like the additions a lot. Olivier Vernon, Janoris Jenkins, I mentioned them earlier. Looking at the rest of their D-line, though, other than Vernon, you got JPP. If he can figure out a way to operate his ability with his 8.5 fingers or whatever it is, I think he will be a very good player. I thought he actually played pretty well last season with that big oven mitt on. But I think he should improve this season, and he gets more used to what he needs to do with his injury, obviously. But looking at their corner position, it's definitely going to be an improvement with Jenkins there. You don't have to rely on guys like Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie as much. And they also added Eli Apple from the first round. I'm not psyched about the Eli Apple pick, but I think he'll actually be kind of a bust. But if he's your number 3 guy, who knows? That's not that big of a problem. But I think their biggest problem on defense, their linebacker position, you got guys like J.T. Thomas out there starting on your depth chart. That cannot be pretty for Giants fans to see. And at the end of the day, I've got the Giants going 8-8. Kind of disappointing. They may actually be the favorite to win the NFC East this season from like a betting and a prediction standpoint. But I don't see it with the Giants. I think losing Tom Coughlin will be a bigger problem than many people realize. And who knows with the rest of this team? You got a lot of additions. Might need a year or two for that to sink in and really adjust. But looking at the Washington Redskins as my final team in the NFC East, they added Josh Norman, obviously, probably the biggest free agency signing of the offseason. He's under a lot of scrutiny over the past few days, obviously, due to comments about whoever is always taking shots at a lot of people, especially Odell Beckham. But I really like Josh Norman. I think people do not give enough credit for how good he has been over the past year or so. He shut down Julio Jones a few times, which is very tough to do if you haven't heard. Julio Jones is a pretty good wide receiver. But looking at their offense, you got Kirk Cousins. He led the league in completion percentage last year. I think he will emerge from that game manager tag this season, especially with his wide receiver core. He's got Deshaun Jackson, Pierre Garçon, very reliable guy. Josh Dawson, he was my favorite wide receiver coming out of the draft this season out of TCU. I liked him more than LaCron Treadwell, Sterling Shepard, any of those guys, even Will Fuller. But and then they got the big man, tight end, Jordan Reed. And I'm sure I don't have to explain this to Washington Redskins fans, but for anybody else watching, Jordan Reed gets hurt a lot. You cannot expect this guy to play 16 games next season, so also something for you fantasy players to keep an eye on. He'll probably not be healthy the entire season. He's got a long list of injuries, and that's very concerning because he is a very big part of that offense while healthy. But looking at the rest of this offense, biggest problem I see for them is their running back position. I think they might actually have the worst running backs in the NFL, to be honest. Matt Jones is the number 1 guy. He is a very unappealing running back to have back there. He is not somebody that has much explosiveness. But he also got Chris Thompson, I believe, as their passing downs guy. Also, not a great guy. Losing Alfred Morris will definitely hurt them. But yeah, they definitely need to find somebody to bring in at running back position, because that is going to get ugly really fast. Believe me with that. But their offensive line is going to continue to be good. Maybe they can help that running game a little bit that I just spoke ill about. Trent Williams, their left tackle, one of the best in the business. Obviously, he'll continue to do what he's doing. He's getting up there, though. And Brandon Scherf, he's a guard out of Iowa, I believe, taking the 5th overall pick a couple of years ago. He is turning into a very good guard, so at least he's off bust alert for now. But Brandon Scherf, yeah, should continue to do what he's doing, probably improve a good amount this year, help that running game definitely. But looking at their defense, you got Josh Norman, Bashaud Breeland, 2 cornerbacks who I think will be the best 1-2 duo for cornerbacks in the NFC East for sure this season. They also took Kendall Fuller, I believe, out of Virginia Tech this season, so who knows, that guy will, as a number 3 corner, definitely provide some needed depth for that defense. But other than the 3 corners I just named, can you really name any guy that you're excited to see on this Redskins defense this season? I mean, you got Ryan Kerrigan. He's okay, I guess, but not exactly a great guy that you want on that front 7. Chris Baker, he's a pretty good player, I guess, but no real pass rushers, no great linebackers on this team. People will tell me Will Compton's a good linebacker. No, he isn't. He's not a good linebacker at all. I don't know what people are seeing in him. But I think this front 7 problem is going to be a big issue, especially in the safety position. You got D'Angelo Hall getting up there. I believe he's going to be 33 this season. So outside of Josh Norman and Bashaud Breeland, you really got to wonder how great this Redskins defense will be. And a thing about the Redskins season last year, they were kind of able to capitalize on some other sucky teams in the division last year. The rest of the division will definitely improve. Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, all going to improve, in my opinion. So the Redskins were able to capitalize on those bad teams, and they were able to finish the year strong. And I was looking at their schedule, and let me tell you, they will not be finishing the year strong this year, let me tell you. Starting with week 10 or 9, something like that, they face the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe that's in London, by the way. Minnesota, Green Bay, at Dallas, at Arizona, at Philadelphia, and versus Carolina. So if you're thinking as a Redskins fan that you're going to be able to coast through the end of the year like you did last season, you need to think again, because I see a few losses at least coming from that tail end. I actually have the Redskins finishing 7-9. That might be a bit harsh, but improving division, and I think they're going first to worst. Even though I think Kirk Cousins should improve, but who knows with this defense? I'm very concerned about this defense. It actually has a chance of being the worst in the NFC East. Call me crazy. But if this Cowboys defense can step up a little bit, I say it will be. So that concludes my NFC East preview. Please let me know your opinions in the comments down below. I'll make sure to get back to you on that. Got the NFC North preview coming out tomorrow, so make sure you subscribe to check that out. And once again, I already previewed the AFC division, so I'll put those in the description box below. If you're watching for another video to watch, make sure you check those out. But yeah, make sure you like this video, and thank you all for watching. Until next time.